What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for Love and Hip Hop New York Season 9, Episode 1. Now, this episode, we saw a couple of our old fan favorites and a couple of the newer cast members from last season. We saw them twined into Twix together. And we started, there were people who had relationships that I didn't even know they knew each other. So let's go on and jump on in it. Kimbella and Juju. Now, we know they're friends. You know, they all were friends, and she calls Juju over. She said, I really need to talk to my real friends. And, of course, we knew that was a jab at Yandy. Because, Kimbella and Yandy, they were friends. They weren't friends. They made up. They fell out. They're not friends again. And it's been some back and forth. Well, not really back and forth, but it's been a few things on social media. And she was just talking to, Juju about what's going on with the Jewel's case. And, that basically he's faced with going to trial and rolling the dice, or go ahead and taking a plea, doing the 18 months. Excuse me. Doing the 18 months and being done with it. Now, I have mixed feelings when it comes to certain things because I don't know enough of the story to have a full opinion. Do I believe that the court system is rigged? Yes. Do I feel like the court system does not play fair? And is it a color issue? Is it a rich-poor issue? Like, yes, all of the above. But in this situation, I'm not really clear. Because Jewel says that when he was in the airport, he said he wasn't trying to get a gun through security. He forgot he had the gun in his bag. But when he was trying to get through security and security stopped him and said that they needed to have somebody come down and search him, somebody else do the search or whatever, he walked out because he said he had warrants for a case he hadn't taken care of. So then they found the bag with your ID, because my thing was, even if you really thought, which I believe him, that you really thought, oh, they coming to get me because I got these warrants, you still left your damn ID. They were still going to come and get you. Like, you might as well have stood there and took the medicine. Now, he said that he was high. He was on them perks and everything. So at that point, his thought process probably wasn't the clearest, and I get all of that. But for him to say, I don't want to go to trial because I'm innocent, I don't know what they're charging you with, because you're not innocent of everything. You clearly had a warrant for something else, and it could have been a traffic ticket. I don't know. But you had a warrant for something else. And see, that's why I don't have enough information. Then you did have a gun in your bag that you were trying to get through security. Whether you knew that gun was there or not, that's not the issue. Now, like I said in last week's review, we've heard of other people, some other celebrities who had the same situation. And I don't remember them facing 5 years in jail. I remember them just, doing whatever they had to do, and it was done with. Like I said, at one point, the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Barry Switzer, whatever his name was, Zanique, T.I.'s daughter. So I'm not understanding why you're looking at 5 years in jail. And again, could it be because you do have some other charges? Like, just not sure. And what he said was he thought it would just be a fine and he'd move on. He didn't think it would be all of this. I agree with you, Jewels. I'm perplexed myself and why they're trying to put you in jail for 5 years over this. But, again, I don't have enough of the information. Now, back to the story. But that's what he's faced with. And so Kimbella's reaching out to her friends because it is a lot. It's stressful. It's a lot with that. And Juju was like, I hear what you're saying. My father went through that. He was offered a plea. He chose to go to court. He didn't, he lost in court. He ended up doing 20 years, and he had an offer of 5. So when you roll the dice, even when you think you are innocent, not think you're innocent, or you feel you're innocent, or even when you are innocent, you're definitely rolling the dice, and you're definitely leaving your future. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm exhausted, y'all. You're leaving your future in the hands of somebody else, 12 jurors, 12 strangers, or a judge, or whatever the situation is. So I definitely understand it. And when you're talking about having kids, young kids who, if he goes to trial and he does the whole 5 years, he was saying his kids will be, 11 and 12. He's like all the walking them to school and the holidays and all of that. So it's definitely a hard decision. And, it's one of those decisions where I understand why people take pleas when they feel they're innocent, because when you're given the options, it's like, well, damn, all right. We saw that happen with Black Ink Crew, last week. So Now, Juju brought up, she said, I really wish you and Yandy were in a better space, basically, because, Yandy went through this. And I feel like there's maybe a lot she could, maybe just help, just be there for you, or just be a shoulder to lean on. Or maybe there's some ins and outs of the legal system that Yandy found out that, helped her, or it didn't necessarily help Mendices, but it would help in Joelle's case. Maybe they know lawyers. Like, it's just a lot of things that when somebody else has been there, that it might help you. And so, but Kimbella was like, nope, done with it. I'm not fooling with her. Now, she's mad at Yandy because last season, with that whole situation that went down with the baby mamas thing, and Kimbella rolled up on the party and her sneakers in her hand, a ponytail ready to make it happen. And then at the reunion, she feels like Yandy threw her under the bus. But if y'all remember correctly, at the reunion, not only did Yandy throw Kimbella under the bus, because she tried to say she didn't invite Kimbella down there to fight. She didn't know Kimbella was coming. Something else, Yandy tried to pretend like she didn't know. Remember? And she got busted at the reunion. And come to find out, she really knew. It was somebody she said she didn't know, or something to that effect. I can't remember now, but come to find out, it was Yandy's cousin, or it was something crazy. Y'all remember that? So, Yandy's a liar. And I can understand how Kimbella would feel that way, especially when you show up somewhere ready to ride or die for somebody, and then when the shit hits the fan, they throw you under the bus so that they don't look bad. Yeah, I would have, yeah. Especially since, remember last season, at the beginning of the season, Yandy and Kimbella weren't speaking then. And they had basically just made up. So we already sort of still in our little probationary period. I got your back, I'm ride or die. And then when the shit hit the fan, you hide your hands like, I ain't throw no rocks. Yeah. I feel you on that one, Kimbella. So then we see Alexis Scott. I'm going to go ahead and knock her on out the box real quick. She basically gave us the background of what happened with her daughter, which is so sad, and that's a cute little baby. But basically her daughter, we know her daughter was born premature. She weighed 1 pound. 1 pound. I can't imagine 1 pound. She said she could fit her in her hand when she was born. And, of course, she had all the prognosis of she would never do this, she would never do that, she needs this. She has a lot of therapy that she's going through. She has a lot of she's had a few surgeries. Like, it's that baby's been through a lot already, and I don't even think she's a year old yet. She said that her grandmother's been helping out. Her grandmother's really her only support in New York, and that her grandmother's been very supportive and helping out. And her grandmother asked her about what's the deal with Fetty. And she said, well, her grandmother was like, would you still want him or something? Like, what's up with that? She called him Mr. Wap. She said, oh my goodness, y'all, I gotta tell y'all this story. So, because Fetty Wap made me think of this. So, Waka Flocka came to my school, right? Where I work. Waka Flocka came to the school. And the guy, we were in a meeting. And one of the older teachers was saying, yeah, Mr. Waka Flocka Flame. Like, the way he said it, y'all, we fell out. So anyway, I was talking about Fetty Wap. It just made me laugh. Anyway, it was hilarious the way he said it. You know how when a person don't really know how to say the name, but he's telling us that Waka Flocka came to the school. So, of course, we know who Waka Flocka is, but the way he said it was like, Waka Flocka Flame? It was hilarious. Anyway, had to be there maybe. So, she was saying how Fetty Wap, her grandmother was like, well, she said, look, a baby needs a father, a full-time father. And if he ain't ready to be a full-time father, then move on. Like, it is what it is. Like, basically her grandmother was like, I'd rather him not be there all than to be a part-time dad. And I said, okay, Grandma. I hear you, Grandma. And Alexis was like, my interest in him sexually or romantically is gone. She was like, all I want is for him to claim his daughter and be a part of his life. She said he never signed the birth certificate. He took her to the hospital. He was there for the birth. She said, but basically the whole situation with Solo Lucci basically made him question whether he was the father. And she said, she offered to take the test and everything. She said, but it's just really disappointing and it's really hurtful that he would act this way, with their daughter. So Waka Flocka still has not, now I say Waka Flocka. Fetty Wap still has not signed the birth certificate. So, technically she said, I really don't need his money. I take care of my child, but it's just that I want the acknowledgement. I want her father to be a part of her life. So later on in the episode, he tells her to meet up with him, pull up on me, let's talk about it, because she got all this paperwork for him. And I don't know if it's like paperwork for him to sign the birth certificate paperwork, or if it's paperwork to get a blood test paperwork. I'm not sure. It don't matter because he ain't show up. He left her ass high and dry waiting for him in the damn empty ass studio. So I don't know what's up with that. We'll get back to that later, I guess. I guess Fetty Wap told Mona Scott, you ain't paid me for 2 scenes. I gave you a scene last week. That's all you getting. I don't know. She might have to write him another check. I don't know. Alright, now, so that pretty much takes care of, let me go ahead and get Sin and Joe Budden on out the way too. Remember last week, Sin was just saying that she really wants to be with her man. She needs some time with her man, blah, blah, blah. And the episode ended with her jumping out that car because he didn't want to go to the hotel. And she jumped out that car, got in that cab, and went to the hotel by herself. So Joe said, basically, I've been in the doghouse ever since, and I just, I want her to know that I love her and everything. So they get to talking, and he takes her breakfast in bed and everything. And he basically tells her, look, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. She basically breaks it down for him a little bit more. Like, she started to tell him last week, but she really, really broke it down about how, she just gained so much weight and, she just doesn't have her body back the way she wants it. She just feels like she's just not sexy anymore. And every time he rejects her, it just sort of adds to it and makes it even worse every time he rejects her. And she was just saying that, she just can't, she just can't deal with the fact of her man rejecting her, and it just makes her feel some kind of way. And, when women have children, it's a lot. Men don't understand. It's not, and not even men, other people, because especially now with this whole snapback and all of that, it gives an unrealistic reality of what giving birth is. Your body, your internal organs are rearranged to take care of a child for 9 months. And when that child is gone, it takes a while for your body to fix itself. All this snapback shit, I ain't even going to get into that, but that's not necessarily healthy either because it takes your body the time to adjust. And so for women whose body doesn't snap back like that, that's another psychological thing that makes them feel like something is wrong with me. And that's not what it is. It ain't always something's wrong with you. It's just that, you don't have a private chef and somebody to work you out 3 days a week and all this other stuff that these celebrities have at their disposal. And in some cases, surgery. We saw that when Black China and Rob broke up. Rob told all her business and said that he paid for lipo after she had the baby, right? For her snap back. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, Joe was like, well, look, this is what I did. I hear you. I want you to know that the way you handled it probably wasn't the best way, jumping out the car in the middle of New York. But I hear you. I'm taking a week off work. We're going to go down to Cabo, and we're going to spend some quality time. So that was good for them. I was happy to hear that. All right, let's get to the shits and giggles. So, see if y'all follow this. Whoopsie, I'm already messing it up. Kimbella Sin and Jonathan, you remember Jonathan from last year, went out to lunch. And Macy's must have paid for that product placement because there was a Macy's shopping bag in the scene and they were sitting in front of a Macy's store. So Macy's clearly paid for this scene, honey, and I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, Macy's. But they're having lunch outside and Jonathan is saying it's his birthday. He's, inviting people over for his birthday party. To a little club to have a birthday party. And he says, Kimbella, I want you to come. Sin, come, blah, blah, blah. And in the midst of the conversation, Juju comes up. And Jonathan was like, Juju, she's just... And at first, he was trying to play it cool. He was like, oh, so you cool with Juju? And Kimbella was like, yeah, that's my girl. And he was like, she's just so closed off. And I'm sure he was taking the temperature of the room to see where Kimbella was going to go, if it left or right. And Kimbella was like, well, yeah, I thought that too, but you just have to kind of earn her trust. Now, Jonathan conveniently forgot the second part of her statement and only remembered the first part where she said, yeah, I thought so too when I first met her. That's the part he held on to. We'll get there. So they're still talking. And then Jonathan just goes on and tells her point blank, look, I don't really fuck with Juju. I feel like Juju did me wrong. I talked to her about wanting to do a radio show. We came up with an idea that would be a great idea for the two of us to do a radio show. And then I feel like she went behind my back, pitched my idea, and stole it for herself. And I just feel like that was real shady on her part. See, Jonathan got a lot of shit with him, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But we're going to hold on to that, right? So he felt like Juju stabbed him in the back and pitched this idea for a radio show that he came up with. Now, and then, of course, Yandy comes up because Jonathan and Yandy are cool. And Yandy's going to be at the party. So, again, Kimbella is like, whatever, me and Yandy, we done. We not friends. We not cool. It is whatever. You know, she tried to play for the world that we was all friends or whatever. She tried to put that little birthday, because I saw that too, where it was Kimbella's birthday. And Yandy put a post up about, wishing her happy birthday, whatever. And Kimbella was like, say what? Like, you ain't called me in how long? Now all of a sudden you want to put out there happy birthday and pretend like to the world that me and you was cool or whatever. We are not friends. Like, stop fronting. So Yandy, so Kimbella's like, I haven't heard from her. She threw me under the bus. She didn't really reach out to me when Juelz was going through what he was going through. Then she going to throw a birthday text up there like that's supposed to make up for everything. And Jonathan brought up a good point. Jonathan was like, well, maybe, that was kind of her way of reaching out. Like, maybe that was her way of, which it probably was. Like, that really, he said maybe he had to, because she said she didn't even post it till 8 o'clock that night. And he was like, well, maybe that was her way of working up to it. And I think maybe it was. When you fall out with somebody or you're not cool with somebody, like, you find different situations. I know if you look at my videos, I keep talking about this one friend because it really just sticks with me that I don't understand why we ain't friends no more. But that's not for me to figure out. But neither here nor there, I've reached out to her numerous times. And the last 2 or 3 times I reached out to her was like her birthday. And then I saw her on a mutual friend's Instagram post. She was down at Essence Fest, and I reached out to her, and recently, and I think I'm finally past it, because recently I had a death in my family, and I started to reach out to her just to tell her about what it was, and I was like, you know what, not gonna do it, I'm done. It's only been so many times you can reach out to somebody and they knock your hand out the way. And I think that's probably where Yandy was coming from with Kimbella. Like, look, I'm going to take this opportunity. It's her birthday. Let me put a feeler out there. And if Kimbella had been receptive to it, I feel like Yandy probably would have called her or sent her a personal text saying, hey, girl, let's go have some drinks. Let's go talk this out. But when Kimbella responded the way she did publicly, Yandy's response was like, okay, well, I guess she ain't really ready to talk to me. Because in the next scene, we see Juju with Yandy. And they talk about it. And that's pretty much what Yandy says. She says, I reached out to Kimbella. Kimbella made it clear that she doesn't want my help. She doesn't want me reaching out to her. And what more can I do? Like, if you are not receptive, there's not a whole lot I can do. Now, I don't know if I believe everything that Yandy is coming from, talking about, that she did this and she did that. I do think that Yandy is very selective in her wording, and she chooses her words very carefully. Yes, do I believe she reached out to Kimbella? Absolutely, I believe she reached out to Kimbella. Just like, yeah, she did send Kimbella an Instagram post. But like Kimbella said, it was 8 o'clock at night. And you didn't even text me personally. You just put it up on Instagram. So who was that really for? Was it for me, or was it for you to be seen? She said that she reached out to Kimbella about Juelz. Kimbella's side of it was, yeah, she reached out to me when he had already been in jail for a couple of months. Now, according to Yandy, Mendices wants her to reach out, like, what can I do to help? You can't do nothing, you in jail. But what's going on? Where is he? How, what's the situation? So she feels like, she's in a situation where Mendices wants her to reach out. She wants to reach out, but Kimbella won't let it happen. And Juju was like, well, I wish you would just talk to her. At the same time, that's when Yandy tells Juju about Jonathan's party. And Juju was like, well, Jonathan didn't call me. And she said, girl, I'm sure you invited. You invited. Like, and Juju was like, but why wouldn't he have reached out to me if I'm invited? Girl, you invited. Don't worry about it. You invited. All right. So we get to the party. And Annalise is there. Y'all remember Annalise crazy ass from last season? She's there with this half dress. I mean, it's only covering up the, barely covering up the important parts. And she's doing her Marilyn Monroe happy birthday, song, which is cool. It's funny. It's campy. It's all good. And since Santana's there, Kimbella comes in with Juju, I believe. And as soon as Jonathan sees Juju, his face is just like, what the fuck is she doing here? And, Juju is like, hey, Jonathan, I hear you. Oh, that's what it was. Kimbella kind of told Juju that Jonathan has a problem with her. She didn't get into the details, but she was like, you need to talk to him. Like, you really need to talk to him. So, Juju, being the straightforward person she is, was like, hey, Jonathan, happy birthday. Even though I heard you have some problems with me. And, of course, then Jonathan immediately turns it on Kimbella, like, so you just went back to her and told her everything I said? So the fuck what? If you mad, be mad. But Juju's thing was, you're mad at me, but you never told me you were mad at me. Like, I had no idea you were upset. I had no idea you felt like I did anything to you. So don't be mad at Kimbella. You were the one that should have told me. If we friends, that you were mad at me. And, Jonathan was like, I really loved you, past tense. Juju was like, oh, that's past tense. So you don't love me anymore? Like, what's up with that? So he basically, he tries to make it seem like Kimbella has the same problem he has, right? Tried to make it seem like, well, Kimbella said it too. Kimbella was like, hold, don't you put my name in that shit. I said that Juju can be closed off, but you have to earn it. Don't make it seem like I was talking shit, because I wasn't doing that. So now Juju's sitting there like, oh, so everybody just got a problem with me. Like, that's what's going on here. Like, everybody got a problem? Because I would feel the same way too. Like, hold up, where the shots being fired? Where the shots being fired from? So Jonathan actually talks to Juju, and he tells her that he felt like she stole the idea. Now, come to find out, see, this is what happens when you get the real or both sides of a story. So the other side of the story is, Juju did take a meeting at a radio station. She said, and I brought your name up. You were mentioned at the meeting. But remember, the meeting was in Miami. You couldn't make it. You weren't available. So, yeah, I took the meeting. But you were in the room. Like, I mentioned you. I brought you up. Like, this wasn't something I was doing behind your back. So, see, he said, well, I just felt that way. I felt that way. I felt like you were just doing it behind my back. How the fuck was she doing it behind your back if you knew about it? And if you weren't available to come to Miami when the meeting was taking place, how you gonna be mad that the meeting took place without you? Like, see, that's that shit. Don't tell half of a story, or don't tell your own version of a story and play victim when you wasn't really a victim. You weren't really victimized in this situation. So Juju and Jonathan, they start doing that back and forth shit. Jonathan won't listen. Juju was like, I let you talk. Let me talk. Let me say what I got to say. Jonathan wouldn't. He's still doing all of this. Annalise is like, do we have to do this here? Like, for real, this is his birthday. So then Annalise and Juju end up getting into it, because Annalise is still mad about some shit Juju said at the reunion last year when Juju was talking about people having class and how Annalise didn't have no class. And she was like, we have class here, Juju. Why don't you show some class since you got so much class? Show some class. Juju was like, what? She's like, you still holding on to that shit like that? I said that 9 months ago. Like, so that turned into a mess. And in the midst of all that, who come walking in the door? Dun, 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 Yandy. So then you got the Yandy Kimbella mess. They go to the side to talk. Basically, Kimbella, she said the same thing she been saying the whole episode. Like, look, I feel like you're fake. You threw me under the bus. And Yandy was like, that's what you mad about? You mad about a party that you chose to roll up on like we was going to fight? I never told you to come showing up like you were going to fight. I invited you to the party. I never invited you to fight. See, that's that bullshit. Here's the thing. And then I'm going to be done, because this is getting long. We all know our friends. You know which friends to call when you want certain things. And you know what to say to trigger what you want from that friend. You call Kimbella because you know Kimbella gonna have your back, and Kimbella gonna be down, and Kimbella gonna show up with the Vaseline and the sneakers in her hair and a ponytail. You know that. You know who's gonna show up for you in what way. You also know if you had called Juju, Juju probably wouldn't have shown up with that same energy. Not that Juju can't. Not that Juju can't fight and won't fight. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, the initial response you're going to get from Juju versus the initial response you're going to get from Kimbella. You knew what you was doing, Yandy. You may not have specifically said to to Kimbella, pull up so we can fight these hoes. But you call her, you tell her who gonna be there, you know what kind of energy she gonna bring. We all know. We know which friends to call for what, and that's what you did, Yandy. And then when you got caught up in that shit, you had your hands like you didn't throw that rock, and you know you did. So I got you, Kimbella. I feel you, and I feel like Kimbella is justified in how she feels and all of this. And so she basically just told Yandy off and rolled her happy ass right on out that party and told her, until you're ready to be honest about what you did and face your shit for what it really is, don't call me. And I'm out. And she didn't really let Yandy get a word in edgewise, honey. And that's pretty much where the episode ended. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Peace.